Ladies and gentlemen, we have the Dallas Cowboys 2024 opponents. Now, obviously, we don't have the schedule. That's going to come out like in like a couple weeks after the draft. But the we have the opponents, and I'm going to make my 2024 Dallas Cowboys season prediction before the draft. So come back to me, please. Please, pretty please. Come back to me after the draft in so and so amount of days when I make a season prediction after the draft on how I feel about this team. So I already have the opponents, and I have every team that who I think we're gonna win and lose to here on a notebook already, and we're just gonna go through them game by game, and I'm going to explain exactly, why we win or why we lose. So we have Washington. Those are the first two opponents that it showed on the list from what I looked up. And Dan Quinn, as much as we hate him for partially sabotaging us, of course, this past 2023 season, you gotta admit, like, he's still, I think this second stint with him being a head coach, I think he is going to be, now it's his first year and he's got a pretty, struggling Commanders roster, at least on defense right now. Got a couple players from us, but yeah, so I think that we'll split. I definitely have far more respect for Dan Quinn than to think that we're going to sweep them and beat them both times. So, yeah, I have us winning one at home and then losing one on the road. Then we also play Pittsburgh on the road. And I had a little remorse on this one at first. But I had to think about it, and I'm like, Pittsburgh has a really good defense, and Russell Wilson is, he is an upgrade from, Kenny Pickett, and of course they have a lot of star players on, the offensive side of the ball, of course, George Pickens, Najee Harris. They got some dogs. They got some players on that offense. And Russell Wilson just is being handed the keys to the car, and he just has to put it in the ignition and go drive it. Don't ride, drive the mother fluffer. So, either way, yeah. So I felt like it's in Pittsburgh as well. I'm going to say that that's going to be a loss. Then we play Atlanta. I have that as a win. And look, Atlanta, yes, shout out to them for signing Kirk Cousins like a month or so ago. But look, we have been notorious for owning Kirk Cousins before when he was even on a better team in Minnesota. So I think we're going to continue that, owning him in Atlanta. So it is, like, I know some of the notable players that they have, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, on defense they have, they have my brother Jesse Bates. So, like, I know they have some, some players and they got some talent, but I don't think that, like with Kirk Cousins, like we own Kirk Cousins. So I think we're going to continue to show that again. Then we play Cleveland on the road, and I think that that's going to be a loss, because you know what you got to deal with Myles Garrett, of course, up front. And that secondary isn't too bad, especially with Denzel Ward. But then you also have to worry about Nick Chubb. And then Amari Cooper, he could be on a revenge tour, like you guys should have never given up on me. And then you also have the wild card, which is this is year 3 for Deshaun Watson. It's almost kind of a put up or shut up time for him. So he's definitely going to be on try hard mode this year. All right. So if he doesn't make it happen this year, Cleveland could very well possibly give up on him. And they're willing to eat whatever type of dead cat if he doesn't make it happen for them, any type of, improvement or development and make it happen this year. So that's the wild card. I think that this is going to be a tough game, and I have us losing this one. Then we play the New York Giants, and they did trade for Brian Burns. So they already had Kayvon Thibodeau, but you already had to deal with that. But now you got to deal with Brian Burns coming off the edge on the other side. And I felt like New York already had a very slept upon defense. If you don't believe that they had a very slept upon defense last year, then you're just a casual. You didn't watch the games. I watched the games, and this is a defense that is very hard to score against. Now, we wouldn't know any better, but I'm just saying, like, more often than not, this is a defense that is pretty hard to score against when you think about it on a per drive basis. All right, you can move the ball on them a little bit, but they will tend to normally, like, hold teams to field goals more often than not. And if it wasn't for that offense, as anemic as they were, I think they would have been far better than they were. So you get a healthy Daniel Jones, an offensive line that actually has continuity, and they could very well go back to 2022 form. But I still don't think that they're quite ready for us. Until proven otherwise, we're still the kings, and you are peasants to us. You are beneath us. So until proven otherwise, I still think that we're definitely going to beat the Giants twice this year. Then we play Philadelphia. You see, Philadelphia is almost like they're like that part-time king. They're like that part-time king assistant. We have respect for them because time and time again, they've shown to consistently be a pretty, good team and tough team to have to handle. So we have respect for you. Don't get it twisted. It's still F you. But the fact of the matter is, I have respect for them. Now, I have us splitting the season series with them, beating them at home, but losing to them on the road. I've never seen a matchup between two opponents where home field advantage coincidentally seems to matter so much. Because if you look back at it, more often than not, we beat them at home, but then they'll get their lick back at us and when we play them on the road. And vice versa, like they end up beating us at home and then we get our lick back at home when we play them again. So I have us splitting with them. And then we also play New Orleans. And thank God that game is going to be at home, because if this game would have been played in the dome, yeah. Um, New Orleans, they're kind of like us, but at a lower extent, at a lower standard. They have so much talent. This is a very talented team that has so much potential, and they show that on display occasionally. They show how good they are when they'll dominate one opponent 48-17, but then they'll come back one week and lose like 18-7. Like, they'll show that they'll show one week their potential, and that they are potentially a team that can win 13 games, as I predicted before the season started, which I now, of course, rest my case on that I was an idiot for thinking that. But yeah, they'll show that potential that they can win 13 games one week, and then the next week they'll show why they are a mid team. And I don't understand that. But again, I have to worry about that, with my team, of course, sometimes. But either way, I have that being a win. We're at home. So yeah, I have us winning that one. And then we play Tampa Bay at home, and I think that's going to be a win. Again, home field advantage. I still think that game against Green Bay this past year was an aberration. And Tampa Bay got a hit on their defense. They lost Devin White, and you can say what you want about Devin White, but as far as I know, Devin White is still a great player. Moves sideline to sideline, like flying around the ball. Like it was a constant contributor and impact player for that Tampa Bay defense. So that's going to give them a hit on that defensive side of the ball. Offense, they didn't really lose anything. I'm still expecting more of the same by them. But I think that we'll be able to handle business and win this game. Then we play New York again, and what's understood don't need to be explained. Then we play Philadelphia again, and again, it's going to be on the road. So I got to say that that's going to be a loss. Then we play Detroit. And oh my goodness, I can't wait when we play Detroit, man. I can't wait till we play Detroit, man. Like we don't know when we're going to play them at what point in the schedule, but these guys disrespected us by saying, "Oh, y'all didn't do anything." Like, the referees just robbed us and made a horrible call and whatever. Like, basically disrespecting us. So, yeah, the next time that we play you, we're going to show out there and prove to you why that was no fluke. This time, we're going to bring the pain. It's going to be pain and suffering for you guys. A lot of y'all are saying that, I've heard a lot of Lions fans say, like, oh, trust me, when we play them again, the outcome is going to be way different. Oh, yeah, you're actually right. The outcome is going to be different, because we're not going to just barely beat you by 1 point this time. It's going to be pain. It's going to be pain. It's going to be dominance. And I'm saying this with confidence even before the draft. So just let that settle. All right. So either way, yeah. Detroit at home, that's going to be a W. All right. Big W. And then we play Houston at home. Listen, they got C.J. Stroud, and he's really good. They have a pretty good running back in Joe Mixon. They already had Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, and even Noah Brown. Now they just traded for Stephon Diggs. They also signed Daniil Hunter. Like, what I'm trying to say here is that's going to be a long game. And I do actually, in fact, think that we're going to lose that one. We also, a game that I accidentally skipped past, we also play Baltimore at home. That is another game that I think that we'll lose at home because Lamar Jackson is just a different animal to have to contain. And I feel like our best chance of being able to beat him, I think our best chance of being able to beat him is if we can keep him contained in that pocket. Because as soon as you break containment and allow this guy to get outside the pocket, he can just do Lamar things. Either he's going to improvise and find a receiver down the field, or he'll just take off and beat you and kill you with his legs. And it's just hard to defend that. So I think that's going to be a loss. And I didn't even mention Derrick Henry and how you got to figure out how you're going to be able to stop him in the running game. So I have that being a loss. And then we play San Francisco. Now, I know people are going to be so quick to say, oh, that's going to be an L. But the fact of the matter is, San Francisco is coming off of losing in the Super Bowl. And it doesn't take rocket science to know that over the past 6 or so years, every team that has lost in the Super Bowl doesn't go back. And matter of fact, not only do they not go back, more often than not, they come back and be noticeably weaker than they were before the Super Bowl loss. So this team is going to be weaker. They lost Eric Armstead. Chad Green, Dre Greenlaw don't know when he's going to come back, but he tore his Achilles in the Super Bowl. So even when he comes back, he's going to be a little rusty and slowed down. This team is going to be weaker. They're not going to be the same. And as far as Brock Purdy is concerned, this guy has to show some type of flappability at some point. He's not going to just show this about how good he is, supposedly, and stuff, all the time. So his flappability, trust me, is going to show. I thought that it showed just a tad bit this past year, but it's definitely going to show in high mark this upcoming year in 2024. So I think that's going to be a W. So when you look down my list and pay attention, I have the Dallas Cowboys record before the draft. I have us going 11-6. And now normally we're so used to going 12-5 every year, but I have us going 11-6 for right now. We'll see what moves that we make in the draft and stuff like that, and see if my opinion on this 2024 season is going to change. But to close out, leave in the comments if what you think about my prediction, and if you think differently. Some of y'all might troll and say that we're gonna go 6-11, but it is what it is. I'm just saying, this is my record for us, and yeah, to all my audience, this is Mr. Cowboys fan out.